The abbreviated story of Israel. God gives birth to a nation. Well, that's a shock in itself, isn't it, really? The US is stuck paying child support. Anti-vaccine beliefs are becoming contagious. This is brilliant news. It means that the word's getting out that vaccines are a kill weapon and everyone's starting to use them. And anyone that's got any doubts, just tell them to do the bit of research, do any research into the subject. Look on Facebook, all the people are saying how my son was injected, my daughter was injected, and they died within a day, within a week, you know. This is good news. It means that we're finally becoming aware of the corruption that is going on this planet. And speaking of corruption, when you vote for Zionists, don't be surprised to find your country ruled from Israel. Dad, what is humanity? I don't know, son. We are Zionists. Equitable right to subrogation. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, well, maybe because it won't all fit on the screen at once, but also because it's a long document, but the link is in the description if you want to do some further reading. Right to subrogation, meaning, is a lawful doctrine whereby one person is entitled to enforce the subsisting or revived rights of another for one's own benefit. A right of subrogation typically arises by operation of law, but can also arise by statute or by agreement. It is a familiar feature of common law systems. Subrogation is the principle by which an insurer, having paid its insured loss, is placed in the position of its insured so it may recover from the third party legally responsible for the loss. Subrogation is liberally applied for the protection of those who are its natural beneficiaries. So one right to subrogation is a must, as everything is about the estate of the trust asset, meaning the reader will develop new tools for maximising recoveries and gain a better understanding of our subrogation world. The goal of our subrogation professional is to maximise recoveries. To do this effectively, one must, it's not written very well, must know the laws and principle that from the basis for all subrogation claims and then use them to his advantage. As I said, it's very interesting. Link in description if you want to read the rest. Doctor admits Israeli pathologist harvested organs without consent. Israel has admitted pathologists harvest organs from dead Palestinians and others without the consent of their families, a practice it is said ended in the 1990s, but is really still going on. It emerged at the weekend. The admission by the former head of the country's forensic institute followed a furious row prompted by a Swedish newspaper reporting that Israel was killing Palestinians in order to harvest their organs, a charge that Israel denied and called anti-Semitic. Oh yeah, say any truth about Israel and it's anti-Semitic. It's not working anymore. The whitewash doesn't work anymore, you scumbag Zionist twats. Again, you want to read the rest of the story, as with the next one, links in description. The history of the Pharma cartel. It started in 1911, May 15th. The Supreme Court of the US finds John Rockefeller and his trust guilty of corruption. Shock. Illegal business practices and racketeering. As a result of the decision, the entire Rockefeller Standard Oil Trust, the world's largest corporation of its time, was sentenced to be dismantled, but Rockefeller was already above the Supreme Court and did not care about this decision. Again, it's a long article, links in the description, but it shows you what absolute corruption Big Pharma is. Facial recognition technology violates human rights and must end. Landmark court case hears. Police are breaking human rights law with the use of controversial facial recognition software, a landmark court case has heard. Ed Bridges is beginning the first legal challenge on the technology, which has been trialled by forces in different parts of the UK. He believes he was scanned by cameras used by South Wales Police at a peaceful anti-arms trade protest in 2018 and while doing this Christmas shopping in Cardiff months before. Let's hope it is ruled against human rights, because it is just them further trying to, well, own us. Companies with links to Tories have won 1.5 billion worth of NHS contracts. Unite Research claims 24 MPs and peers who backed health reforms have links to 15 private healthcare companies. Private companies with financial links to Tory parties have won NHS contracts worth 1.5 billion in the past 2 years, according to research by the UK's largest trade union. Unite claims that 24 Conservative MPs and peers who voted in favour of the government's health reform have links to 15 private companies that have won up the contracts since 2012. Unite General Secretary Len McCluskey said David Cameron promised there would be no top-down reorganisation of the NHS, but he lied. He's an MP. That's all they ever do. How can we be in a situation where dozens of his MPs voted for the Sell-Off Act and had links to private healthcare companies, knowing this would open up the new opportunities for the companies that pay them? All totally corrupt. But you know that. So start spreading these videos further. Let's get this out there. Nurses say too many patients are being subjected to do not resuscitate orders without families being told. Now, I've been saying for a long time now that they're planning to kill us. Here's another way of them killing us. Not planning, because they're doing it. Nurses have warned that too many hospital patients are being subjected to do not resuscitate orders without relatives being told, with one describing finding her own great aunt in such circumstances. The Royal College of Nursing yesterday heard repeated warnings that failure to communicate meant families were left shocked to discover such decisions had been taken about their loved ones. Do not attempt resuscitation. DNAR orders instruct medical staff not to resuscitate a patient if they become unconscious. Further murder of us all. The oath of a British constable. What is going wrong with the constables of Great Britain? We have a serious problem with police officers, usually the younger generation, who take the attitude of an overbearing, power-crazed young ruffian as they insist you listen to their sometimes childish garbage as they try to conjure a non-existent law to harass you, and in the most extreme cases use threats or violence, agitating the public, with sometimes leads to extreme violence against the citizens by multiple constables. And that's happened to me. Such a perversion, public expected attitude reversal is no accident. From a shadowy force that it being birthed from the public police relationship is tantamount to a complete paradigm shift with the informed consent of the public they serve. In the early 1990s, the IQ level for police intake was lowered, removing thinking personnel to unthinking personnel. We must recognise that the young constables have been trained to the attitude prolific amongst the ranks today. We must consider the fact that both each shift all constables are briefed and what that duties they are to carry out, and reminded of the attitude they must keep with the public. We must then consider the cause of the shift in attitude from public servant called the police as moved more from the top down. Of course, it goes on to tell you about Freemasonry that controls them. Every chief constable in the UK is a Freemason. You can't get past a certain level, I think it's from inspector upwards, you can't get to that or above that unless you become a Freemason. And that's how they control the police. That's how they control everything. What you can see here, of course, they deliberately lowered the IQ of the police so that they get these bully boy tactics, because that has been the plan all along. Because they don't want them thinking, because then they'll start thinking, why am I doing this to these innocent people? If you want to read the rest, links in description. UK's cruel and harmful policies lack regard for child hunger, says NGO. Damning Human Rights Watch report accuses the government of breaching its duty. Human Rights Watch has accused the UK government of breaching its international duty to keep people from hunger by pursuing cruel and harmful policies with no regard for the impact of children living in poverty. Examining family poverty in Hull, Cambridgeshire and Oxfordshire, it concluded that tens of thousands of families do not have enough to eat, and it revealed that schools in Oxford are the latest to have turned to food banks to feed their pupils. In a damning 115-page report that echoes previous experts' condemnation of the UK's policies on food poverty, the NGO, better known as Documenting Abuse from Myanmar to Haiti, said that the government was breaching its obligation under human rights laws to ensure people have enough food. The government are breaching loads of human rights issues. Sanctioning you is a breach of your human rights. There's only about 26 articles in the Human Rights Act. Look it up yourself and find out that they are breaching human rights left, right and centre. Bryant MP, traitor painted on constituency officers. See, everyone's realising that they are nothing but treacherous bastards. Vandals, although I would call them freedom fighters, have painted the word traitor across the front of pro-EU MPs' constituencies officers. Labour MP Bryant, who wants the UK to remain in the EU so he can continue getting his backhanders, said the graffiti on his Tony Pandy officers would not change his mind on Brexit. No, he doesn't give a shit what the people voted for because he wants to remain and continue to get his backhanders. In a defiant tweet on Saturday morning, the Rhondda MP said that people who painted the abuse underestimated him. No, they know you're a traitor. They've painted that you're a traitor, and you are a bleeding traitor. 5G Apocalypse. The Extinction Event film reveals how 5G is an assault weapon meant to destroy humanity. You want to be seeing that film for sure. If you browse the mainstream media headlines here in the United States, you'll be led to believe that 5G is an amazing next generation wireless technology that will make everything faster, easier and more incredible. But this is a lie, all a lie. As 5G is really an advanced military-grade assault weapon in disguise that's being implemented as a final solution against a free humanity. In the eye-opening film 5G Apocalypse, The Extinction Event by Sasha Stone, the ugly truth about 5G is revealed in full horrific detail. Not only will 5G invade every aspect of people's lives, eliminating all privacy, but it also stands to become the most health-destroying technology ever created. There you are, in black and white. 5G is a military kill weapon. And we are the target. Cancer is CANDIDA / fungus and can be cured. Here's something your doctor or oncologist will never tell you. If you have cancer, then you have fungus, mold, candida. It feeds the cancer. It is cancer itself. Here's all you need to know about how to deal with it. Few things are scarier than hearing the words "you have cancer," and yet it's something that an estimated 1/3 of people, half the population, will hear at least once in their lifetime. Not me, never going to hear that. With such staggering rates and so much money and research poured into combating cancer, when in actual fact it's not poured into combating cancer, it's poured into finding a pharmaceutical which will let you live a little bit longer, cost you a load of money so they can continue milking you, because to Big Pharma, all you are is a cash cow. You would think we would have rounded the corner towards reducing it, or even found a cure by now. We have. There are many cures out there. Just do a search on YouTube, Salon on Health, and you'll find a handful of cures for cancer, and there are more than you can imagine. Of course, eating a healthy diet is the main way to beat cancer. Eating processed food will cause cancer. What is terrifying is that despite the millions of dollars spent every year on research, we seem to be no closer to knowing exactly what causes cancer, much less finding a cure for it. There are loads of cures, as I've said. Again, the link's in the description. Read the article. If you know anyone that's got it, send them the article. And that was 13th of March this year. Talking of cancer. Sunscreen causes skin cancer, not the sun. With summer just around the corner, it's time to start thinking about protecting your skin and getting some sunshine into your lives. For most people, this means covering themselves in sunscreen. Whilst now just before I continue with that, as I've been saying all along, they are killing us by the millions. This is another method of killing us. Whilst we now are even encouraged to apply it more liberally and every day, so why is it that skin cancer is on the increase, not the decline? The message is very blurred. With the FDA, anything to do with them, you know it's crooked. On one hand, endorsing sunscreen, like I said, whilst on the other hand, saying more studies must be done on its effects. Remember, Johnson & Johnson, for example, with moisturising cases, mounting cases against the talc powder giant, that claimed talc contributed to women developing ovarian cancer, with 4.7 billion, the largest payout so far. As many of you probably already know, humans require sunlight exposure for vitamin D. Sunburns are indeed a concern, and there are many studies that link sunburn to melanoma. However, the sunscreen is the real cause. Again, links in description. And that was for May this year. Express. Beleaguered and blurry-eyed, May faces final showdown. How much more can she take? Who gives a shit how much more she can take? How much more can we take? This treasonous bitch is worse than Thatcher. Andrea Leadsom quits cabinet as mutiny looms over Brexit deal. Brexit betrayal. Tory backbench chief orders PM to make or break meeting. Same picture again, and it's in that nearly every paper. Daily Mirror. Ginger is dying to get back on tour. Great. Tears in the back seat too. Emotional May reaches endgame as cabinet turns on her and top ministers quits. She doesn't give a shit about them. She doesn't give a shit about us. She doesn't give a shit about this country. She's a Zionist traitor. The scum. Pain of Davina Lover's ex-wife. May set to go after Brexit fiasco. Bleary-eyed PM facing end, isolated and hoped hold up in number 10. Cabinet revolt as Leadsom quits. Theresa, piss off, you evil, vile bitch. But I love her. Metro. May retreats to her bunker. PM clinging on to power as Leadsom quits cabinet. She's got the soft sofa against the door, says Duncan Smith. There's another treacherous bastard. Britain's most trusted digital news brand. You know, and I just read that because it's such a joke. British Steel collapses after government refuses bailout, whilst giving so many billion contract for steel to Spain. They are betraying this nation, every single one of us. Cabinet coup, Prime Minister in hiding. Theresa May refuses to meet furious ministers to stop them from toppling her. She's got the sofa up against the door, says former Tory leader, murderer Ian Duncan Smith. Commons leaders Leadsom quits government over May's handling of Brexit. The endgame, PM deciding whether to resign now or try to cling on for a fortnight. Mutiny over second referendum pledge. Would you send a 4-year-old to the corner shop on an errand? This woman swears by it. Absolutely not. The playground politics of parent chat groups. The guilty feminist, 25 years of travel, and yeah, the rest is just junk, really. Absolute waste of paper. Star. Whole lot of loving. Love Isle. See? Love Isle. And 25 killer free. M&S in crisis. All you ever wanted to know about gnomes. TV's Barrymore. They still think I'm guilty. Fallen Star Furious, he can't rebuild his life. Shame, eh? I think we all know that the papers are propaganda sheets. The news on TV is propaganda. Every form of media that is propaganda to keep us under control, to keep us asleep, to keep us dumbed down while they rape the country and poison us and kill us with the slow kill weapons. But they're now moving on to the 5G murder weapon. We will all be suffered and be dead if we don't stop this, and stop it now.